Jenny?
Okay. That's going to be hard to follow. Well, on our way to Louisville, to Bellarmine, Gary and I were discussing why were we attending this conference sponsored by a Sustainable Religious Land Committee of the Festival of Faith. The program was directed to religious leaders. And our interest was basically in just finding out about energy and independence. Plus, Sister Claire can be quite coaxing. It doesn't hurt a bit, you know. Well, we moved here it's been 3 years ago after I retired because we loved this area and my family's all here. So we thought the weather's going to be great. It's a beautiful place. It's much nicer than Wisconsin where Gary's home state is. Well, thanks to global warming, we might as well be up north somewhere. And I'm going to come back to global warming and I'm going to use my notes. Like most in this area, our awareness of the Bluegrass Pipeline has just been highly raised. And speaking of awareness, each speaker that spoke at this conference, like James said, they raised our awareness of the environment and the human risk and just the energy independence boom in general. They listed lots of issues and what we were going to be facing in the future and today, and what our kids are facing, what our grandkids are going to face. But they gave us solutions, but they're all solutions that we're going to have to do something about. So, speaking of the pipeline, I'm going to digress here a little bit. Let me quote one of the event speakers, and you kind of alluded to this, James. He said, "Pipeline people are not bad people. They are trying to fill our needs." End of his quote. And I guess what we would all say here is they might be doing their job, but let them do it someplace else. And thanks to Sister Claire and many of the other dedicated people here in this community, we all pray that their voices have been heard. So what did I get from this day? That unfortunately there isn't a quick and easy fix for the mess that we've made, that we've created. We are all so dependent on coal, oil, natural gas, and petroleum, all these fossil fuels, that there has to be change. These describe everything that we're so dependent on. The heat for cooking, for our cars, for our farm equipment. The list is endless. So we asked ourselves, Gary and I did, what are the alternatives? And of course that's the renewable energy that they spoke about while we were there. And of course that's the solar, wind, water, hydro, and geothermal, which your last panel was on. And listening to that last forum, there are leaders in this community that are doing things about renewable energy. And Gary and I are not actually leaders in the community. We're just everyday citizens. But by listening to this last forum that you had, we realized we could make changes as well based on what we heard from the day that we spent with these great people in Louisville, plus listening to that forum. So making change isn't easy. And as several of our speakers said, we just have to make the decision to get to the decision makers, and we, starting with us, each person individually, and then anyone who will listen to us, not just the religious leaders, but us individually. Even if we aren't a religious leader, it has to be us to help make this change occur. So we were talking about what have we done and how could we make changes. And a simple change that we made when we relocated here and we purchased our house, we bought energy efficient appliances. We changed our lighting and we redid some of our windows. Those are all things that we can do to help save. But that's only a start. So we heard a lot when we were at the meeting about global warming, greenhouse gases, and climate change during the day. It's easy to say, let someone else fix it. and let someone else worry about it. I can't really fix these things myself. I don't know about you all, but I know I've said that before. I'll let somebody else do it. I'd like to share with you a few points from this little book that they handed out, and we can pass this little book out. It's called You Hold the Whole World in Your Hands. And Sister, I'll let you pass that around if you wish to do so. The part that I want to share is there were 5 points in there that I thought were really good, and there are things that we can all think about. It tells us that global climate warming results from human behavior. Wow, that's so true. And the heating levels in the past 50 years are greater than they have been for hundreds to thousands of previous years. And the second point was the last 3 10-year periods were warmer than any since 1850. So it's like you almost have to stop and think about what these points are saying. But the third one, human-created atmospheric warming has caused ocean warming and glacier melting, which has produced a sea level rise over the last 150 years greater than any over the last 2,000 years. What does that mean? That over the next 100 years, the rise will likely submerge many South Sea islands and some small, dense populated areas such as Bangladesh, Egypt, and Southeast Asia. And you think, well, how does that affect us? Well, in the United States, the projection is that Florida and some of the regions around New Orleans are also at very high risk. I used to live in New Orleans. I think about that, and it's like, I lived on the Mississippi. It's like, yeah, you just don't know. And then the fourth point is greenhouse gases. Carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide are in the air have reached levels not experienced in many, many years. It says 800,000 years. And the fifth point is global warming will likely cause over 1 million land-dwelling species to become extinct by 2050. And that includes polar bears and some species of seals in North America. Also, the increased carbon dioxide and warmer air is producing warmer, more acidic oceans, which will drastically destroy coral reefs and cause innumerable ocean species extinctions. So you're probably saying, all right, how does this affect me? Well, if you think about it, where do we all, or a lot of us people around here, go for vacation? You go to the beaches. You go to Florida. So, you know, if you think about it and you pull it together, it affects us no matter where we live. Or what you do, it affects you. It affects your family. It affects your kids, your grandkids. So then you talk a little bit about the climate. Well, the climate is changing so rapidly that within the next generation, it's going to be different than it is today. And if you think of what it was this time last year, it's different. And so it's not a prediction anymore that the climate's going to change. It's already happening. It was 70 degrees 24 hours ago, and it's now, what, 30? So these are all intertwined here. One thing that we heard that was reoccurring all throughout the day, and I think you alluded to this as well, the earth. That God created the land, and He owns the land. We're just the stewards of the land. And this is a thought that I truly hadn't given much thought to. And this is something that we've talked about since. The whole conference has made us think about how we can do things differently than what we were doing before we went. So with that said, I would say if you have not read The Energy Vision from the Heart of Kentucky's Holy Land, I would recommend that you please do so. I brought it tonight. I passed it around. It was written by 3 Catholic religious congregations of women. Sister Claire here would be more than happy to talk to you about it, I'm sure, when we're done. And please sign it because I think it's this week that you're presenting. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the deadline.
Okay. So anyway, I did pass it around, but it's very good. And it also talks about stewards of the land in there, basically, your first paragraph, I think. So with that, I'm going to leave you with a couple of thoughts. During the day at the conference, there was a song, and I'm not sure what the name of it was, but I think it was, "What on earth are we doing today to find a better way tomorrow?" I'll repeat that. What on earth are we doing today to find a better way tomorrow? It was a beautiful song.
Sing it.
Pardon me?
Sing it.
Me? You don't want me to sing it. My husband might. Oh. It makes you think, where will we be if we don't start making changes? And tomorrow won't be like today for our children, our grandchildren, or if we don't make some drastic changes. Thank you for the opportunity.